Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's me, Jen in Canada. I'm drinking coffee out of my Godiva cup or Godiva. It's a chocolate company. It's Belgium 1926, so it's like Belgian chocolates. I got this cup. I think actually the girls got these cups. I think there's two of them. They had chocolate, hot chocolates and stuff in them as a little like basket last Christmas, maybe the Christmas before. But we always try and get stuff for the kids at Christmas time that is consumable, so there's not adding a lot of stuff to the house because we already have a lot of stuff to begin with. Oh yeah, speaking of Christmas, I already have started wrapping. I wrapped two things. I'll show you. So look, two things. This one's for Rowan, and well, this one doesn't have a label on it, but this one's for Daddy. So not expensive things, but while I was shopping and out and about, I saw a couple things that were decent price. They weren't necessarily on sale. Here, one can see. They weren't necessarily on sale, but they were decent prices and they had just come out. So one is a kit that I'm like, if I don't get it now, I might not make it back to the store before they sell out of it. So that's what I did. Not that I love Christmas, but for me, I try and shop throughout the year. And this, instead of just putting all the stuff together and then wrapping it right near Christmas, some of the things I buy, I'm going to be wrapping it before Christmas. So hopefully, my plan is to have everything wrapped long before Christmas, at least a few days, hopefully a week, so that I don't have the stress of wrapping. Because usually what happens is I do some before Christmas, that last week before Christmas, and then I wrap Christmas Eve until like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Because usually my husband is wrapping his stuff, and then he asks me to wrap some stuff that he puts in like brown boxes that I can't see, um, with him, because he's not the fastest wrapper. But he doesn't want to ruin the surprise of Christmas, so he'll put them in bigger boxes or whatever, so that I can't see because it might be for me, it might be for the kids or whatever. But we both shop for each other and for the kids, and not like huge gifts. Like, I mean, I don't get jewelry or anything like that, like expensive gifts. If anything, I get it's practical expensive gifts. Like 1 year, I got a food processor, which is expensive, but I use it all the time. Like, it's for the whole family uses it. Well, except for my husband doesn't use it, but he could if he wanted to. But let's see. This week we have had, actually, this is our first week in a long time that I have not had CHEO appointment. So every week since September has started, we've been at CHEO at least one day a week. Now, next week, we have a CHEO appointment. Abby's procedure is on a Wednesday. So I will hopefully have videos up to be released and programmed to be on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, hopefully, so that you won't not have any videos from me. But I don't know if I'll be producing any videos. I might do a live stream on Thursday, after her procedure, because she'll probably still be at home. But she has to drink only clear fluids. I'll go look at the sheet. So she's going to take this mess and that clean her out and stuff, and then she can have clear fluids, except clear fluids. Water, Nestle flavored water, or Kool-Aid clear during the first 8 hours after ingestion of the capsule. So that is after the procedure, or during the procedure. So the capsule. So clear after 8 hours, return to work. Oh, so I have to just only drink flavored water, or Kool-Aid clear after the procedure. Don't exercise or lift any hymns. Let's see. Because the camera, so she's going to be taking this pill camera. It's a picture of it that she has to swallow. And it's about an inch big, but she's going to be getting that while under anesthesia. So let's see. Yeah, because she has to take Pico Silax 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock at night the day before. Let's see. Clear diet take session. Clear diets, no solids, no milk products. Clear apple juice, Kool-Aid, broth, Jello, popsicle, sports drinks. Pedialyte and candy you can see through, such as fruit roll-ups and gummy bears. So she can have candy and stuff. Let's see. And water and liquids. Avoid red food coloring. So that's that. Sorry on that one. And then the next day, on Thursday, I have to bring it back to the hospital. But let's see here. Yeah, so she's going to have. So, hey, Steve, how's it going? I was just looking at the things that she can take. I have to. Well, I'm doing groceries on Friday, anyways, so I have to pick up things for her that's clear fluids and stuff. So I have some broths, so she can have that. Plus, I'm going to plan on making hot sour soup, so I can give her the broth from that because at least she'll like that flavor, and it's clear, like it's see through. It's not thickened. Like I won't put the thickener in it for her. And she can have candies, but not red food coloring, because I guess that kind of dyes the inside of your, like, shows up irritation. Like the red dye might dye the insides of you more red, so then when they're taking pictures and stuff, it might look irritated when it's not. So, but she can have orange. So I can do Jello. I'm gonna make yellow, not yellow, yeah, yellow Jello, lemon and lime. And she can have candies. Weird. So yeah, so she gets to eat junk and liquid the day before. And then day of, she can only have clear liquids for 8 hours afterwards. Which that she's not gonna enjoy that. And then I have to return the camera the next day. So Abby's finally she's getting a colonoscopy and camera endoscopy to check the middle and lower intestines and stuff, to hopefully find an answer that's solvable for the stuff that's bothering her, because she's still. So last year at this time she started getting ill again, and then she progressively got sick and got more tired and exhausted and achy and nauseous and all that stuff. And then she ended up dropping out of school, like out of classes, and then was hospitalized. Then we went back into classes, but she wasn't well enough to be at school 5 days a week or 4 days a week, sometimes only two. And when she was there, she was not always 100% effective. Like she was still not great. So last term she didn't submit enough work for her to get the credits, but she did submit enough work to for her to do credit recovery this term. So this term, she's a little bit better than she was in June. Okay, like May, June when she was at school. So she's made it to school most days, and while at school, been effective in. But we've only signed her up for two classes, plus credit recovery of those two classes from last term. But the two classes that she signed up for this term are not really high academic credits, so not things for her to really stress out about with lots of homework at home. So she has vocals, which is basically memorizing the songs, which is something she loves. So there's a liking aspect of the class. Um, but when she doesn't show up to class, she does fall behind of the rest of the group. The good thing for her though is that she's ahead of the group right now because she's already mastered her parts in the songs that they were doing recently. So this weekend is Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving Sunday, we are at my in-laws for turkey dinner. Monday, we're either having turkey dinner here. Actually, I was mentioning it to Abby, that was on my plan, do our Thanksgiving here, because we don't, my mother-in-law doesn't make a huge turkey and have a whole bunch of leftovers to send home. There might be a little bit of leftovers, but not a meal for my family of four. And my family likes turkey, so we usually buy our own turkey and either do it the Monday or the following weekend in case we want to spread it out. So we might spread it out till next weekend to do turkey. We don't ever do our turkey before my mother-in-law's because I don't want my family to eat my turkey and then be all full or kind of like, oh, turkey again, like at my mother-in-law's. I want hers to be the show stopper because she puts a lot of effort into it, and her being blind and stuff, it really takes a lot more effort. And she does a fabulous job. Like her turkey is never dry. Mine sometimes ends up dry, but most times it doesn't. But my mother-in-law's turkey is always fabulous. I want to make sure she she gets all the praise that she deserves. Oh yeah, turkey pie. So when I make a turkey, so my family has no problem with leftovers of turkeys. You know how I said like try and revamp leftovers with turkey or with roast beef. My family can eat those two things exactly the same as leftovers. So if I made a double batch of vegetables and that went with turkey and have a whole other meal of just the turkey meal, they'd be happy with the vegetables, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes. Abby doesn't like stuffing. Um, except for maybe a little bit if it was stovetop stuffing, like the stuff in the box, homemade stuffing. She's not a big fan, but everybody else loves stuffing, mashed potatoes, and so we usually have that. But then I take the bones and I make turkey broth, which then I make turkey soup. Exactly, like there's nothing wrong with stovetop stuffing. It's just basically dehydrated bread and the same seasonings, but somehow my family loves stovetop stuffing, so whenever it's on sale, usually after Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'll buy it when it's marked down and put it in my cupboard because it's not going to go bad. Like it's dried bread, like it's dried bread and seasonings. See, we don't do cornbread stuffing here in Canada much. We're not big cornbread people. Cornbread's more of a southern states thing. Like our stuffing here is bread, regular bread, white or brown bread, sage, poultry seasoning, chopped onions, celery, um, chicken bouillon. That's what I put in mine. Salt, pepper, and that's about it. Now, people add sausage or other vegetables or apricots or fruit like raisins and stuff like that to stuffing, or apples. My family does not like fruit in their stuffing. They have like the sausage stuffing and mixed gravy with eggs. I have never heard of eggs and gravy. Hey, Amanda, but there's also stuffing up here in Canada. It's a French Canadian stuffing, and it's made with potatoes. So it's basically potatoes and ground sausage, and seasoning. And they use it's a hey Google, what is the French Canadian potato stuffing called?
On the website myyellowfarmhouse.com, they say Grammy Brulette's French Canadian meat pie filling can be used as a stuffing.
No. Hey Google, volume 50%. Hey Google, what is a potato stuffing?
On the website, they say made with mashed potatoes, seasoning,
Yeah, so there's French Canadian that does that too. I think there's breadcrumbs in there, but there's ground sausage. But I never had it until well, I had it once with my grandma, but my grandma has some French Canadian, like she's like from Montreal and stuff, so French Canadian in her, but she herself preferred the bread stuffing. Now, my mother-in-law never had bread stuffing until she, I think, got married or whatever, because she's French Canadian and they only had the potato stuffing. So here, dressing and stuffing for us in Canada, we use those words kind of interchangeably. Like my stuffing doesn't always go into the bird. I sometimes put the stuffing in a casserole dish, especially if I haven't defrosted my bird and I'm cooking it from frozen. And so I haven't quite gone in there and got anything out, that there's a bag of, the neck and liver and gizzards and stuff in there. I just let that cook with the turkey in the bag, because it's a paper or cloth bag. Um, but and then, or if I buy an already stuffed like butterball, and then I still want to make stuffing on the side, because there's never enough stuffing for my family. Like, even though Abby doesn't like stuffing, my husband loves stuffing. Rowan loves stuffing. I love stuffing. Okay, yeah. Well, see, technically, I think like on one of the cooking shows, somebody complained that stuffing was what you stuff in the bird, and whatever's left is called dressing because it's outside the bird. But here in Canada, we use those words interchangeably. Oh, I say I've already wrapped 2 presents. I start well. That's not even the first things I bought. Those are the first things I bought this week that I was out and about, and I saw them. They weren't necessarily on sale, but they were good prices, and I knew that if I didn't get them when I saw them, um, when I went back to the store, they'd probably be gone. So they were good prices already, so they weren't necessarily on sale, but I wrapped them because my goal this year for Christmas is to not be wrapping till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, Christmas morning, which happens almost. There's been 1 year my husband and I both finished wrapping by midnight. 1 year out of, okay, Rowan's 18. Out of 18 years. Gift bags, yeah. So like gift bags too, but I like wrap. So okay, so I'll share with you a story about me and my little weirdness about me. Okay, so when I was a child, we like when my parents were together, we weren't always, like we were okay. They were both working or whatever. Like we were doing fine. There was they made an effort at Christmas time to make Christmas special, especially for me, right? So there was always presents under the tree, but a lot of the presents weren't like, there was no like really expensive presents. But there was things like, there's always socks and underwear, pajamas, books, game like board games, and then some toys. Um, and always a stuffy of some sort, something soft and plushy, right? But then my parents split up, and my mom was working, and like and always had to, and we were always kind of like short on money, because we didn't like living in the like a couple times we lived in the projects, and it was not really safe, right? And did not like to associate with people that were also criminals or that, because you always get suckered into something. So she always found a way to get out of the projects, but then the rent was more expensive. But it wasn't necessarily great neighborhoods either, but it was out of the projects. So she had to use her money for that. So some we used to get the food pantry, not regularly, like not monthly, but like every second month or every third month. But we always seemed to sign up for their Christmas hamper, right? And there you'd get a turkey and all the trimmings. And for me, there would be a few gifts, right? And sometimes most times the gifts were new, and then they would have a like a garbage bag because I remember the stuff was came in garbage bags so you could hide the gifts. Um, and then there was a garbage bag of stuff that was gently used, like from a thrift store, you know. So there was more toys, I guess, that way. I think it was like one bag per kid, type thing. And I remember those things coming into the house, not really cluing in much when I was much younger, but when I was about 9 or so, I clued in a bit, but I was okay with that, you know? So money was always tight, but my mom always made sure throughout the year to put some money aside and buy gifts throughout the year, and she would hide them in her room somewhere. Sometimes already wrapped, so I'd come across like wrapped gifts. I'm like, "What's this? Is this leftover from last Christmas? Oh no, this is for this Christmas." You know? So, but one of the things that she liked to do, because her love language was gifts and giving, receiving gifts, and my love language was gifts, giving and receiving gifts, was like I would always also make things for her for Christmas when I was a kid because well I didn't have money, um, and usually at school they always made you make stuff and a craft that was you know acceptable, a pencil holder or something like that. um, but we like well she taught me this thing. It's my little thing that I still continue on as a tradition today with my kids. Is we buy everybody their package of socks for Christmas because socks wear out, and once a year you clean out your sock drawer, get rid of the holy socks or the worn socks because you're going to get some new socks at Christmas. Same with underwear. Get anything that's holier than church out the door and replace it with good new underwear. So we take the socks and individually wrap them in toilet paper rolls. So starting around November, I start collecting our toilet paper rolls. We take one sock and stuff it, and then wrap it like a Christmas cracker up under the tree with the person's name in it. So then 6 packs of socks is now 12 presents. Oh yeah, our washer eat the socks. Our cats take the socks. Like our old cat Sushi used to steal socks and take them somewhere. We have not found this stash yet, but we do have lots of have a Costco bag of odd socks. But we don't buy people stuff. But see, I like the stuff. Like we don't do a lot of gift cards um for my immediate family. Uh we like to buy the gifts for them. So usually between now and Christmas, my kids and my husband will give me some ideas of gifts. And they're usually pretty good, but whatever we buy, we also keep the receipts for just in case things are not the right size or don't fit or we accidentally bought the same thing like because my husband and I don't always well we don't tell each other what we're buying each other or for the kids. Sometimes like I do, but kind of he doesn't buy too much and he does his stuff mostly online because it's easier for him. When he's doing it, he likes to leave it as the surprise aspect of things. So same with underwear. Usually, well, it depends on. Usually, we'll wrap underwear individually too, or as the night goes on. When I'm usually wrapping Christmas Eve, then I'll wrap them as a big package. But we used to do like when the kids were much smaller. I'd go to like the thrift stores. Like so not all of our gifts are brand new. A lot of our gifts are stuff from the thrift stores that are in new condition or gently used condition. So when my kids were small, we would get a lot of kids' books, Christmas books, and stuff like that from the thrift store, brand spanking new. And same with clothing and stuff I get from the thrift store. Well, I would wrap them up, and if the things so and I usually get great deals, like for under like $2, $3 an item. So if things that I bought, say, didn't fit, well, usually if I bought stuff for my oldest and it didn't fit, it would fit my youngest because she was smaller, a year and a half difference, you know. So I usually always kind of like bought a little bit big when they were smaller. If it didn't fit, I just redonated it because it was only a couple of dollars. It's not like buying something like $10, $20, you know? Um, but I like little things under a tree and, and it's not the monetary value. Like both my kids will buy something for their sister, for me, for daddy, um, with well, sometimes with our money, but now as they've gotten older and they have their own monies, even though we don't do allowance, they've acquired their own money from either birthday or Christmas money that they get from family members or from odd jobs that they will get paid for, like babysitting or cat sitting for my sister-in-law. Um, on the rare occasion, if I want them to do something like yard work, that's what I would kind of consider a bit more than what they're supposed to do around the house, then I'll pay them, give them a few dollars. But we don't do an allowance per se because like they still have chores they're supposed to do. They don't always do their chores, and this is part of the problem. We don't agree to give money for when they're not even doing the jobs that they're supposed to do. And as being part of the family, you have responsibilities. You're supposed to do your fair share of stuff because I don't get paid. You know, there was no, well, exactly. So this is the fine line that I'd want them to do more chores. Like I want them to actually to do the chores that they currently have and do them effectively. The major problem is that there's other things besides the chores. So with Abby, it's is her health, right? So certain of her chores now, certain things like they're responsible for their room. And their room's a mess. I don't go in there. I don't do anything. They're responsible for their laundry. They bring down their laundry. They can wash it and they can dry it. Or if they bring it down and they want me to do it during the day or that, I have no problem doing that. But don't say I need this by, come to me at night with laundry that needs to be done for tomorrow morning. I'm not going to do that. If you bring down your hamper throughout the day, I will put it into the wash, or if you put it into the wash, I will set up, like start it, and then put it in the dryer, and then give it back to you, and you put it away. I'm not doing any of that anymore. My kid's responsible to unload and load the dishwasher. Now that the dishwasher, we got a new dishwasher and it's working, we have to get back into that habit because I was getting them to try and wash dishes. Rowan washing dishes, honestly, she was not doing a great job. They were still coming out greasy. Like she was not feeling the plastics if it was clean enough. And when Abby was doing it, she was fine, but we had to kind of set up for her. But it took a long time, and she was actually doing really well with washing of dishes. So I still get her every once in a while to wash some dishes that don't fit in the dishwasher. But it's more of the chores of in the moment, me asking them to do stuff. With school, so right now with school, since my oldest has a learning disability, it takes her a lot longer to do a lot of schoolwork than her class counterparts. And now that she's in college, there's a lot more things that seem to go quickly. I'm not forcing the huge chore issue to add more than doing the laundry, taking care of their room, um, grabbing the cleaning the kitty litters and bringing it up. I will put it away, or putting stuff to the curb. Like they don't always do that, or to grab the recycling coming back. Um, and to just do stuff around the house that I ask them to do at that moment because I'm always doing stuff. uh, as an adult, I'm glad we were asked to do them. Well, so this is the thing is that my mom was not a homemaker person. Like she she was a feminist and she knew more about how to change the oil in her car and change a tire than she knew of how to do stuff around the house. So my mom couldn't cook. Um, she barely could make craft dinner. Um, as she got older, as I got older, and after I was cooking, her cooking skills improved. But when I was a kid, her cooking skills sucked. Like my dad was the cook, and then when they split, my mom cooked, but like I ate so much craft dinner and shepherd's pie and dry meatloaf. I don't eat those things anymore. I just can't. I can't. My family has only had shepherd's pie once, and I didn't even make it. It was one time I did a freezer meal exchange, kind of like a cookie exchange. I did one freezer meal, and somebody else did shepherd's pie as their freezer meal. So I got their shepherd's pie as part of my freezer meal exchange. Um, and they ate that, and they weren't fond of it. So yes, well, my mom worked. So my mom worked full time, 3 jobs, and still was poor, and still that was just enough to get an apartment just outside of the projects, not a great apartment. She worked full time for a United Way Wage agency, so a nonprofit, where she got just above minimum wage pay for admin work, but she at least had benefits there. So that was when she got into full time for there, she got benefits, so that was the good thing. Then she worked part time at the Bay, which was a department store in the shoe department on the weekends, and that's when also Sunday shopping started. When I was a kid, because before Sunday there was no stores open anywhere, and so she worked Saturday and Sundays shifts, and sometimes an evening shift, a couple times an evening shift to make extra money, usually for Christmas and stuff. And then during tax season, she worked for Revenue Tax Canada and was one of the people for about 2 to 3 month period from like, so taxes have to be submitted by end of February, I think, March 1st. So from like end of January to end of April, I think, she would work evenings, like 2 or 3 evenings a week there. We protested. Yeah, well, my mom didn't mind it. Hey, Iron Fire Horse. She liked it that she got the extra. So one thing that she liked about the Bay was she got a discount there, and she liked shoes, so she worked in the shoe department. So so she got a discount. But yeah, she always worked. Like she never not worked. Like there was few times that she went on welfare, because and but then she always was working on welfare. So like she was on welfare to get housing or whatever, and then she went right back to work. Same with like we use the food banks, but not looking back on things like as an adult. Like I'm like, okay, looking back things, I think we needed to use the food banks more than we did. But my mom was proud, and she always gave stuff to the food banks, especially in her later years when she was making more. Like even when she was on disability, whenever she shopped, she always bought extra and gave it to the food bank spot at the grocery store because we received those things, right? And at Christmas time, we always took an angel and we sponsored a child, because I, as a child, received gifts from the food bank. I always worked, but still, well, exactly. So that was the thing. Like when she was working, when she didn't have, and when she didn't have that full time job with the United Way based agency, and she didn't have benefits, she was always needing to use Ontario Works or welfare at the time for the benefits for the eye care, like especially for me, dental work, eye care, and prescriptions, because she was always working temp agencies as secretary work. Yeah, she had her high school, and she knew she was a good secretary, you know, with my job. I always had 3 jobs going, and yes, benefits for the kids. Yeah, exactly. Like and what I realized when I like as an adult and as I got older, when she did cook and stuff, or when I cooked, when I was a child, I always sat down and ate supper before she did. She was always busy puttering around in the kitchen. She's like, no, no, eat some, and made sure that I ate first. And if I wanted seconds, or needed more or needed something else before she sat down to eat. And then her portion was always smaller. I think because she wanted to make sure that I got fed first. So, but there was many times, like that's why I have like as I say, I have some weird things. Like at Christmas time, I like lots of little presents under the tree. I like to see a kind of full tree of little, of things, just because Christmas was the one time a year that my family tried to put on their best faces. Even when they were alcoholics and they were drinking, they always tried to make sure that they were sober for most of Christmas and like at least till the dinner. So Christmas morning they might have be hungover, but there was always presents under the tree, and Santa had come in that, and we'd unwrap presents. And as a kid, I don't remember like when my parents were together if there was much presents for either of them, but there was always stuff for me. But as a kid, I don't like, kids are selfish, right? We don't kind of think of those things. But looking back, I'm just trying to think of that. As my parents divorced, when it was just my mom and I, there was always something under the tree for my mom. Usually she bought it for herself, but and there was always something practical. And it was usually stuff like she needed, like replacement clothes or shoes or something like that she needed anyways. So we're always a very practical family. Even now, I buy replacement stuff for my kids, and sometimes if they need it before Christmas, like for example, if I was getting them a replacement winter jacket and they need it before Christmas because their old one, like the zipper broke, even though we were planning on getting rid of it, um, so I'll let them use the new jacket before Christmas, but then I will take it Christmas Eve, wrap it up, and put it under the tree because I'm like, okay, if I spent this money specifically for Christmas, it's going under the tree, even though you had to use it beforehand. It's so I'm like that. Like, and we try to have kind of even for the two kids, either even amounts of presents or even amounts of cost wise, because certain things, like for example for Abby, certain things that are like accessible or high tech for her to access information are sometimes pricey. So and they're practical, but they're not necessarily fun. So I always make sure that there's at least some cheaper options that are more fun. And then Rowan likes makeup, so that's more, and she doesn't really care if it's the cheap stuff or more expensive stuff. So I do a little bit of both, like, drugstore makeup or some more expensive stuff. But the kids ate their leftovers off. Well, yeah, yeah. My kids alternated holidays between their dads and my place. So when I was a kid, my parents did not do that. I went to 3 or 4 Christmases in a 24-hour period. So, um, so either my mom had me Christmas morning or had me Christmas evening. And so whoever had me Christmas morning also had me Christmas Eve evening. So they had Christmas Eve. So that's when we would do our turkey dinner. And so when my grandparents were alive, what usually happened was either on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, we would go to my grandparents for a Christmas dinner, and then come home. I would do Christmas morning with one parent, whoever had me Christmas Eve, unwrap the presents and stuff, and then like just after lunchtime, about 1 or 2, get transferred to the other parent, and then that parent would be doing unwrapping presents in the afternoon, and then Christmas supper with that parent. So I had turkey Christmas Eve usually, turkey Christmas Day, And then with that parent, I'd have the turkey that day if it was my dad, and then my step side of the family, when my dad remarried, um, they tended to do their Christmas as their big because there's like 7 or 8 brothers and sisters and all across Canada type thing, and they come together every second Christmas on Boxing Day or on Christmas Day. I can't remember. Um, I mean, when my dad remarried, we kind of worked out um, when I would see him on those days. That was the big family thing too. Sometimes, if he was up to it, because my dad dealt with depression, and sometimes he tried to cancel Christmas. So there's that too. But with that side of the family, we'd go there on Boxing Day and it was a potluck. So there was always a turkey and stuffing and stuff, but everybody brought a dish to share. So sometimes there was like brought a salad or desserts and stuff like that. So there was always so I like turkey. So there's always turkey, and then there was leftovers, whichever parent I was with, and during the holidays. So I was usually with my mom during the week, and my dad on the weekend, or almost every week, every second weekend. Well, I think 3 out of 4 weekends. I think there was one weekend my mom got. I remember doing bowling with her on Saturdays, or they somehow, I don't know, they somehow figured it out after a while. Like it was never quite set in stone. Um, and then they had kind of the way that they split custody was I was with one during the week and the one on the weekends every 3 or 4 months, and then they switched. Then I was with the other one during the week and my mom on the weekends, and then they'd switch. Yes, love turkey. So as I was saying earlier, my family of the leftovers, my family for turkey dinner and roast beef dinner with like mashed potatoes and stuff are the two dinners that my family will eat leftovers as is. So exact leftovers. Other leftovers of like ham and stuff like that, they don't necessarily like the exact same thing as leftovers. So I usually have to repurpose them into another meal. So, but see, turkey as being, I always try and get the best deal on turkeys. And with that, I tend to get a bigger bird than my family eats. So we have 2 meals, usually of turkey dinner. And then we have turkey soup because I take the bones and make soup. Then we have like turkey tetrazzini or turkey pot pie or turkey with dumplings. My family's not big on the doughy dumplings, so I haven't made that in a while. But we do something turkey with pasta, turkey chili, turkey, whole bunch of turkey, and turkey sandwiches, um, which is kind of like the turkey dinner just with a piece of bread. But so with this weekend being Thanksgiving, we'll have turkey with my in-laws, and then I'm planning either Monday to have a turkey or we'll do it next week. So Monday is the last day Abby can have a full meal. Like so, I'm thinking we might hold off on turkey on Monday and just go out or like sushi for her because she loves sushi and dumplings, and do that as a last hurrah because on Tuesday she can only have clear fluids and then she has to drink the stuff to clean her out and stuff. And then Wednesday she can't have anything until her procedure. And then the only thing she can have is clear fluids. And then Thursday she could have soft food, I believe. So she's not going to be happy about the food options, even though she loves turkey. And that I think I will give her the choice of doing it this week or next week. So since tomorrow is the day I'm going to do my shopping. I had 2 different court orders that were different for each child. A lot of driving and pull crap. Really? Well, it was the same dad. Oh, they're doing the colonoscopy and the camera endoscopy, so lower endoscopy and biopsies. So capsule endoscopy. So they swallow a capsule camera, and they're doing a regular endoscopy. So she swallows that while they're doing that while under anesthesia, and then it travels through because normal endoscopy does the first 3 feet of your intestines and stuff, and then a colonoscopy does like the last 3 feet. because that's as far as the camera scope goes. And that, but then your intestines, there's like 30 feet of intestines that the only way to get through is there's this capsule. It's about an inch long, like a big huge pill, with a camera in it that they'll drop down when they're doing the endoscopy, and it'll travel through her 30 feet of intestines over an 8-hour period. And it'll take pictures. She has to wear this like belt with a camera receiver on afterwards. And then when it stops beeping is when it's done. And the good thing is I don't have to retrieve it afterwards. So that's the good thing. So I'm like, I have to retrieve the thing? No. She's like, just return the box. No different dad. They are 6 years apart. No different dads. Okay. So I was gonna say if it was the same dad, I was like, that makes no sense. Yeah. But yeah, no, my girls are doing okay. So hopefully with these tests, these procedures that Abby has next week, Wednesday. So I was saying this week was the first week in like 6-7 weeks that we have not had an appointment at CHEO at all. First week I stayed home without having to go to CHEO and waste a whole day. Next week we go to CHEO 2 days. Well, one day I go with her for her procedure because it's day surgery. They do the stuff, they release her that same day and then come home. And then the next day, sometime during the day, I have to drop it off. So that one I might ask a ride to just say, hey, can I get a ride there to just drop this off, versus taking an hour and a half, 2-hour bus ride there, drop off an hour and a half, 2-hour bus ride there. So 5 hours of travel to drop off a camera. I might see if I can convince one of my friends who isn't working during the day, because I have a few friends that are retired or they work part-time, to give me a ride, because it's only a 20-minute drive. But the way the buses work, it's different. So, and now we have the new LRT, which is supposed to the light rail system that's now opened down, that goes through downtown and goes to East End. I have not. We tried it on the weekend just to see the stations and stuff, but I have not tried it to do it during my regular everyday travels. And all week, since they cut because they were doing in tandem, so they were having the LRT system as well as the regular bus system, and they cut the bus system and they just have the LRT through downtown. And now the past 3 days there's been delays, and people, because people have been jamming through the doors and then making the doors sensors faulty, and then the train is dead. So it's like they have to fix it each time. I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to have to try and do any of that if I don't have to. But but that is my plans for this weekend. Saturday, we might do some errands. But my plan is to just do cooking and cleaning and stuff for possible Thanksgiving and stuff. So yeah, if I don't have I don't mind necessarily doing, I don't want to inconvenience my friends, right? Because even though they've offered, I don't want to have to take them up on the offer, So I only ask when Abby's health is not great and her traveling by bus is just going to add more to the exhaustion factor. But if her health is fine, like before this past year, I rarely asked for a ride unless it was a crazy stupid time, where people would be able to give us a ride there, on their way to work downtown. It was more of a tiny detour, but it'd be like a crazy time. Yes, well, the buses run wonky anyway, so like the way you can drive there is a direct line, but the way the bus goes, it goes like a big huge triangle, goes down this way, and then goes this way, and then goes back this way. And then, straight line and go this way, or the other bus goes like this, goes here, and then has to cut. There's like multiple buses. I dislocated my rib from my sternum the other day. It's been. Have you gone to the doctors? And have you taken any pain meds? Have you put heat or ice on it? Because I know with pain, depending on what you did, heat or ice is recommended. I always just interchange them. I prefer to put heat versus ice myself. And how did you dislocate your rib? See if I have a message. No and no and no. You're a glutton for punishment. How do you know you dislocated a rib from your sternum unless you went to a doctor? Unless you've done this before. Because if you've done it before, then you kind of know what the symptoms are. So. Yes, that does not sound like fun. I've dislocated. Like I broke my finger where I dislocated it. That's why it's more curved than my other fingers. Like there's a gap there. Like if I squeeze them together, but you can see it's more curved. Because when I was in grade 8, I was playing soccer. I grabbed the ball, but my friend Jason kicked the ball, and my finger was out like this. I saw it and I snapped it back into place, and then went to the hospital. But they said, "Oh, we can re-break it." I'm like, "No." By the time, like, we were waiting in the hospital for like 2.5, 3 hours, so had just gotten the pain, manageable. I'm like, "No, so since I was like 14, they took my word for it. Now I kind of semi regret it because it's more curved than my other fingers. But see, my hands normally, like, they're a bit curved anyways. They kind of curve. They don't go kind of straight. They go straight here, and then my fingers go that way. I had an inspection to tend with again. It's so awful. I was overexerting myself because I was sticking right out. They pushed back. Ouch. Doesn't feel anything like a broken rib. Way more painful. Well, because I think I've not broken a lot of things, like, but I've bruised the muscles, and the muscle bruises. Like they said, oh, you're lucky you just bruised this muscle. I'm like, no, the muscle bruises hurt more than a break, and take longer to heal because it's muscle, and they impede your motion, your movement, um, more than a break does. Because of a break, there's always some sort of cast or brace around it so that you don't hurt yourself, like hurt the muscle part. But when you've done a muscle, like a bruising a muscle, they don't give you, or they won't. There's no way to really brace yourself because there's not a break. I was going to thought it was having a heart attack and dropped to my knees. Okay. Sprains are worse than breaks too. Yep. And I sprain my ankles all the time. I have very weak ankles, weak wrists and ankles. Um, and Princess is trying to come here, but Peter's fallen asleep on the floor here, with a towel by his face, like covering his face so he can't see. And Princess was walking, and then she just like walked about a foot close, and she saw him. And it's like, oh, screw this! I'm going the other way. I'm not. She doesn't. She doesn't mind him when he's sleeping, but she doesn't like him when he's awake because he just wants to play. And she's like, I'm old. I don't want to play. So, but today I've got so much cleaning I have to do. So yesterday I was supposed to do, like in my menu plan, if you saw that video, I think I got it up. I was supposed to make cheese souffle, but when I was planning on making that, I didn't. I was busy yesterday until almost like 5, so I didn't have really time to do that. So instead, we had leftovers of chili. I made baked potatoes and some canned vegetables. So we made chili, baked potatoes. Well, half of us put the chili on top of our potatoes. Half of us had baked potatoes and chili and vegetables on a divided plate. So that is what we did. Tonight I'm going to make the cheese souffle because what was the major issue too was my kitchen counter where I have my mixer, which I need for the souffle. I had just put a whole bunch of I keep on cleaning up my kitchen, like drawer or whatever. I had just put a whole bunch of stuff on that counter, blocking all that stuff, and I hadn't finished putting that stuff away and cleaning that off. So today, from when I got off this video, I'm going to be cleaning that kitchen, cleaning off the counter, cleaning out the 4 drawers that are underneath where I have the open bags of pasta. I cleaned out one yesterday. Open bags of pasta, open bags of like nuts or snacky stuff, some snacky stuff. Like it's a drawer. I just stuff in there that will stay in a drawer, but on a shelf it'll fall over, right? So I got to clean that out because there's so much stuff that's in there that I could just use up, or there's like multiple different things of opened packages of pasta, let's say. I could put them all in one jar and put it on the shelf. So that's my plan for today, is doing cleaning that needs to get done so I can make the souffle because I need that counter space to make it. And it was just like, oh. So, but we used up leftovers, and everybody was happy with that. Hubby so today is souffle and baked tomatoes. I'm going to do that tonight. So the chicken dish that was on is scheduled for probably tomorrow, or it's going to be on the list of things to do on the weekend. So, because I'm going to plan to do more cooking also on the weekend, because I'm not going to necessarily have time next week if I'm at Chio twice to do cooking for my family. So I might have that there as extras. And lunches. Like, so Rowan's coming home right now. She's gonna come home and we're gonna have some lunch. And we're gonna have leftovers. Yes, I've never made a souffle. So I'm gonna take a video of it. And so that's another thing, is I need my counter clean enough so I can take a video of it. And we'll see how it turns out. We've been watching lots of cooking shows and Master Chef and all that stuff. And a couple of times I've been doing souffles, and my kids are like, "Oh, that sounds good." And I have the recipe in my cookbook, that I have the Canadian Living Cookbook, and it's not that complicated as long as I don't open the oven. I have to measure, which any baking thing I have to measure, which is kind of like my Achilles heel because I don't like measuring. If you've seen any of my Cook with Jen and Canada videos, you know I don't really measure. So baking requires measurement. So I'm going to take video of it, of each part that I'm doing, and hopefully at the end there will be some results, and they will be tasty results. And if it doesn't quite look like a souffle, I'm sure it'll still taste good. So I'm doing that in my baked tomatoes. And hubby said something about meat. I'm like, I'll see if I can find something like some sausages or to cook up for him. I'm hoping to try and still keep it vegetarian. But depends on what he eats at lunch today. Yesterday, all he ate at lunch was a bowl of soup. because by the time he got down to the cafeteria, it was all cleared out of things that he likes. So he had a bowl of soup. And so he didn't even get stuff from the cafeteria because I sent him with some cans of soup, like chunky soups, for those emergency or Chef Boyardee's for those emergency lunches that he needs to have. Because so when he came home, he was hangry. So he had lots of potatoes. He likes his potatoes, baked potatoes. He's like, yeah, I want potatoes. So we still have a few baked potatoes in the fridge. I might do a hash with the leftover potatoes. There's an idea to add something more filling. I'm finally getting flooring today. Dude shows up with a piece of flooring that was just ripped out of someone else's place. SMH. Hey Google, what's SMH?
According to Wikipedia, the Sydney Morning Herald published in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia.
Hey Google, what's the acronym SMH?
On the website bbc.com, they say sometimes it's modified to SMFH, SMMFH, no profanity in their announcements. So there you have it. SMH equals shaking my head.
My head. Okay, thank you. Because I'm like, I think I know this one, but I can't remember. Oh, okay, I'm getting old. Thank you. Yes, because I was gonna say it's like I would say banging my head and stuff like that, but yeah. See, I'm awful at acronyms. My kids. Oh, here's Peter. He just woke up. Oh, hello, and he loves being put on his back and petted like a baby. Yes, and then he loves just being on my shoulder, just like this. Yeah, I'm not too swift. Google's not too swift. Yes. But you want it. You probably just like, yes. Oh, you're just purring away. Here, I'll bring you to the camera. You can show them your purr. Okay, he's gaining weight again. We got him, he was 12 pounds. I swear he's probably about 15 now. Yes. No, it was close. The flooring gods finally shined on me. I've had no flooring in my bathroom for almost 2 years. So he ripped up the flooring from somebody else's place, maybe because it didn't fit. So, oh yeah, no problem. I figured as much. Hello, you're back. So Rowan's home, so I'm gonna go and get off now and have some lunch. And Peter is just enjoying being. He just woke up. Look who's there. Who's your favorite person, Rowan? Yes. Yes, there's the Rowan taken. Oh. So have a great day. I should hopefully have a video up for tomorrow. I haven't edited one yet, but I will for tomorrow, and then hopefully I'll do a live stream next week to catch you guys up. And anybody who's from Canada, like Iron Firehorse, happy Thanksgiving this weekend. And have all the turkey, ham, or whatever you're having. Spend lots of quality time with your family. And see you later. Bye.